Um, I always told God when I arrived at this moment, I would share my testimony, and that's what I'm doing. This is not easy for me to talk about at all. So I want to preface the live with this disclaimer. Everything I will be talking about tonight is based on my own experiences. Um, Someone else may have a different experience and may require a different course of action than what I have taken. Um, while I feel that tonight's live will be very educational, as the things discussed can be very helpful to someone who is going through what I've been going through, I'm still going through it, by the way. Um, I recommend that if you are living with anxiety or depression, that you seek out a professional and that you come up with a plan that works best for you. I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or should not do. I'm just here to educate you about the things that I've learned about anxiety as a student of life, um, as a professional who's worked with people who live with what I have, and just being educated. My background is um, I'm a counselor. So outside of that, and also just the research I've done as I've had to live with this, and I've um, pretty much have been living with this off and on, and it really hit me hardcore. I want to say in about 2014, and it just got really bad to where I didn't know how much longer I could go on living with anxiety. So let's just start there. Whew. And if you are watching this and you're living with anxiety or depression, or you know someone who is, I would like to say please watch to the end. I have so many things that I would like to inform you all about, and I think it would be very helpful. The best thing that helped me while I was enduring this was listening to other people and knowing that what I was going through didn't make me mean that I was crazy, and that so many other people shared the same thing, and knowing what how they dealt with it really helped me. Just listening to them and just seeing that, okay, I know I'm not crazy, or I know I'm not weird, that helps. So, and then, like I said, if you know someone who was struggling with anxiety and depression or PTSD, I think this would be very good for you to listen to, because I know that being with someone or living with someone who is going through it, it can be hard. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Thank you all for joining my live. If you're in here, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. That helps me out. That lets other people know that I'm live. And also, it's just it's just good, It's just good to do. So thank you all for joining. I appreciate you all for being here. And let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is what anxiety is. Anxiety is a human emotion involving feelings of worry, unease, and apprehension. It's like a feeling like something bad is about to happen at any time. Now, that's something that many of us have experienced in this lifetime. We'll feel something, but you're just going on about your day and you probably forget about it. Well, when you have anxiety, that feeling that something is about to happen, that uh, worry and unease, it never leaves you. It's always there. You can have physical symptoms with anxiety, like increased heart rate, sweating, difficulty concentrating, um, like I said, it doesn't just happen here and there. It's something that you live with every day. Anxiety is a normal human response to stressful situations, like preparing for an exam or facing a difficult decision. However, anxiety disorder, and it becomes a disorder when it becomes persistent and excessive and disproportionate, and it interferes with your daily life, such as you don't want to drive, or you don't want to be left alone, or some people may not want to being in public places, or perhaps um, you just have a strong fear of heights or anything, and it just consumes your everyday to day. That's what anxiety is. And what I've come to believe and what I've learned is that anxiety is basically the flight or fight response turned on full blast, and that you can't cut it off. You can't cut it off with just prayer. You can't cut it off with meditation. You can't cut it off with anything. You just have to deal with what's causing it in order to feel relief. That's what I feel. It, Most people who have anxiety, they have it because of trauma, stress, or because of something that influenced them outside of themselves. It's always a cause behind it. Your anxiety can be caused by a hormonal imbalance, such as if you have hyperthyroidism. Your anxiety can be caused by a medication that you're taking. Like, you can be taking a medication for one thing, but then the medication can have a side effect of anxiety. Even medication that's meant to treat suicidal thoughts and PTSD or obsessive compulsive disorder, those medications can also cause you to feel anxious. So, um, symptoms of anxiety can manifest in various ways, including you feel nervous, restless, or tense. You can't sleep. Like I said, you feel the impending danger or doom and difficulty controlling your worry. Like, for me, when my anxiety first manifested what happened was uh, just one day, after years and years of stress, I just all of a sudden couldn't sleep one night. I couldn't go to sleep for nothing in the world. I kept trying to go to sleep. I kept trying to pray it through, and I just couldn't. I just panicked, and I just got scared, and we just went from there. And I normally would, like I said, I would have worry here, I would stress here, get nervous there, but I would just pray, or I would call up my mother and she would pray with me, and I would be fine. But this time, no matter how many days went by, no matter what, it wasn't leaving. Um, the physical symptoms I would feel wasn't really increased heart rate back then when I first had it. I want to say about almost 11 years ago. I didn't have sweating, I didn't have trembling, I would have shortness of breath all the time. I would be short of breath. Um, and I just would always feel like I was sick. Like, I would have like dizzy spells, things like that. I would feel off balance because after a while of your body being in a high state of arousal, I mean, your fight or flight response is supposed to be there. Remind you, we're supposed to be running from lions and tigers and bears. So that's why we have that. Everybody has it. Everybody has that because the fight or flight response, and I'm sure most of you listening have heard it, and if you haven't, excuse me for being presumptuous. But most of us have heard about the fight or flight response, which is there for us to know when to run when we see a tiger or whatever. And it's also meant to let us know it's like our internal alarm system. It helps us to sense danger. But when you have anxiety, your fight or flight response is off kilter. It's not working as it should. So with me, because because that fight or flight response was constantly on, and I was constantly preparing myself to, prepare for danger, I was in a high state of arousal. And when that happens, as with anything, if your mind is not working as it should, it's going to affect the rest of your body. I would be driving and my eyes would just be hyper focused to where I just felt like I could go blind, like I was blinking a lot. I would feel dizzy like while I was driving. And when I would be walking, I would just feel dizzy like I was going to faint. And some people get anxiety to the point where they do faint because they're in such a high state of arousal. I don't know if you have ever seen the videos where people are on roller coasters and they get so high, that, and they get so scared that they get panic, and then next thing you know, they are passing out, because that's your mind or your body's response to extreme anxiety, and your mind will shut your body down to protect you. And that's kind of what the fear comes from. The fear isn't that you feel weak or scared. Your body is just in a state of alarm. So now you have fear all the time because your body, your mind wants to protect you. And that's the way it does, by allowing you to feel extreme fear. Remember, the fight or flight response is meant to alarm you so that if danger is coming, you can prepare. You can run, or you can prepare to go to battle. So when you have fear that is irrational or that shouldn't be there, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? You just constantly worrying, instead of, because there's no problem that ever presents itself. And then you're just constantly in worry. So now you don't want to do things that you normally do, and the sleep is no longer an option. Your body and your mind is constantly running and going. And I'm getting some of this information from the Mayo Clinic. So if you guys want to hear about or further research it, you can go to the Mayo Clinic. It's all sorts of information about anxiety all over the web. And you can order books about it, so you can see that what I'm talking about is very real and very true. And people are not pretending. And no, they're not weak if they're going through anxiety. As a matter of fact, people usually get anxiety after trying to be strong and to endure what they were going through for a good length of time. You don't just get anxiety one day out of nowhere. You usually get it after your mind is tired of you just going along to get along on your job, in your toxic marriage, with your family, raising kids that may be, uh, some people have kids that are have special needs, or perhaps you are not able to pay your bills and you're going to be homeless, or you're being a victim of domestic violence. There's so many number of reasons that you can develop anxiety, even once you are no longer in those situations. Your mind might be tired of having to endure that level of stress or trauma for so many years. When it's time for you to be at peace, now all of a sudden you're not in it, but your mind is prepared, because what about the next time? So um, there are a number of ways that you can live with anxiety and deal with it, but and there's a lot of different types of anxiety. As I said, there's agoraphobia, there's panic disorders, and that's what I got at the end. After about a good, I want to say, 8 years of living with anxiety, I got to find out what panic attacks meant. And I thought I had been experiencing panic attacks before. Let me drink some water. I thought when I was short of breath, and I guess you can say that is a form of panic attack, but or fear, but panic attack is, I feel like it's like anxiety to the 10th power. It's like another on another level, and because I feel like I got panic attacks because I kept trying to put myself in situations, because I feel like I had, and I don't want people to really, I, this is my feeling. I feel like psychiatry in some ways is like junk science. It's like, and I know that that's going to probably rub some people the wrong way, especially if you're a psychiatrist, especially if you're a therapist, especially if you really have spent time learning about it. I think that it has a lot of good things about it, but I also feel like there's nobody who can heal the human mind. The only thing you can do is if somebody is psychotic or something like that, the only thing you can do is try to control those chemical imbalances and things like that. But I think that, and the one, I feel like There are psychiatrists that get it right, and I feel like those are the ones who don't just throw medication at you. But what happened with me is my psychiatrist will always tell me, I mean, you cannot get medication for a, you can have your leg broken and they won't give you pain medication and you have a broken bone, but they would throw those psychotropic medications at you like candy. And when I tell you, I would tell them my symptoms, and I never was completely honest because I didn't know what could happen to me as a mom if I really said how I was really feeling. And I feared that until I, really start reading and then really start being able to be honest because I had one psychiatrist tell me, listen, this is how you're going to feel and this is what you're going to do, but you don't have to be afraid of that. That helped me to endure for a few months what I was going through. Then I had another psychiatrist tell me, listen, I can give you this medication, but it might actually make you worse. So that did it for me. I had been given Ativan like at the early stages and I took it and I felt like, okay, it would make me feel better for a few minutes or a few hours, but then it felt like the anxiety would come back even harder. And I'm sitting here just praying and praying and praying. Just, I had a little decorative wall art that said the Lord's Prayer, and I would just be sitting there reading that over and over again, just begging God to give me some relief. And I never did, and I finally had to throw that Ativan out. It just wasn't working. It was making me worse. I did outpatient programs where I would sit with other people, and I felt like, damn, I must be real bad. I would hear them tell their stories, and it would be awful stories that I would hear about. And I was just like, wow. I mean, some even thought of ending their lives, and I never had. And I know that somebody listening to this may have had that happen, but I never ever wanted to leave this earth or leave my children without a mom. So um, just having to hear that, it was just like, okay, I did 3 or 4 different rounds of that outpatient, but it still didn't help me. It didn't help me. Um, they would give some tools, but for me, you can't meditate when you're anxious. At least for me. And are, if you know what I'm talking about, and you've been through that, please comment and let me know that I'm not the only one who has tried to meditate, and my mind was just not quiet enough for me to meditate. Uh, I would read all the Bible passages. I would read Peace Be Still. I would read Psalms 23, Psalms 91. And what it did for me was it validated my faith and it validated that I could trust God. But anxiety is an illness just like uh, high blood pressure or just like diabetes. You have to heal. Just like if you broke your leg, you have to heal. Now, yeah, you will walk again. Yes, you will do that again, but you're not going to walk day one. Okay, you have to, sometimes you may have to have surgery. You may need a cast and give it time to heal, and you may be limited in the activities that you can do. For me as a mom, I was married at the time, but you know, we were not doing well and we eventually separated and then divorced. So I was a single mom. I had to work. I had to still fully function as a mother, taking my kids to school, taking care of my home life, shopping, all of that. And sometimes my anxiety would get so bad I would drive to the grocery store and I would park and I couldn't find a parking spot and I would have to go back home. Everything I had in me was for my kids. Every good thing about me, every bit of patience, everything was for them. And I fought so long and so hard because I knew that I couldn't give up. And that was a hard thing to do too because some people, they may not have children or their children may be adults or whatever, and they could just give up and give in. Or some people, they have children and they still decide to give up. And but for me, that was never an option, and that's where my faith came in. Thank you, Simply Sunshine. Did I have headaches? Sometimes. Sometimes I did. Um, but not really. My physical symptoms, and physical symptoms for everybody is different. Some people have so much stress that they do develop other things like blood pressure, high blood pressure, and that could cause headaches. Or some people they deal with, they have anxiety to the point where it's stressful. For me, my anxiety caused me to feel dizzy, and it caused me to feel heart palpitations, not heart racing, but I would get like chest tightness, and that would send me to the emergency room or the urgent care time after time, and they would test me and know you're fine, and have you you should pray. Maybe you want to download this Bible app or something, or try chai tea. That would help. Or are you meditating? And then they would write me out a prescription for meds and send me to another outpatient treatment. But nobody ever said, no doctor ever said this to me. Not one time. No doctor ever said this to me. Have you taken a break? Have you taken the time off to just rest so that your mind could heal? Nobody ever said that. And that's what a good doctor would do. They would treat the patient. Where I live in California, so many people are dealing with stress that it's becoming a thing where the mental health professionals don't take it serious because they feel like, oh, I'm under stress or I have anxiety is a catch-all term for wanting to be off work. Especially with I work for local government, so it was hard for me to get what I needed because thousands of people work for where I work at. So it was hard for me to get what I needed because my job basically told my HMO, look, you got to stop letting people off work or we're going to revisit our relationship with you. That's what I was told by one of the professionals, um, mental health professionals. I don't know how true it is. It wasn't told to me. It's hearsay, but um, I felt like um, I was being I was being roped into some type of uh, I was, put on the same boat as everybody else, and especially with me being African American. Like I wanted to work, I wanted to travel, I wanted to drive. Like not being able to, like how you're tired, you don't want to go to work. Well, when you can't go to work or when you can't do the normal things that you used to do, and even going to the grocery store has now become a task, then life is different and you want to be able to do all those things like you used to, because I used to could do those things without thinking twice about it. So now that I couldn't no longer do that, it was it was a hard it was humbling. It felt humiliating because some people will use that against you. Oh, you're weak. It felt like my world was over, like my life was over. You will get through it, Simply Sunshine. You know, and when I say I fought, I meant I relied on God and I just kept praying and I just kept mentally saying, I'm going to get through this. But sometimes I would, you know, I would go at it with God like, look, I can't do another year of this. I cannot go through this one more year. And then he would be like, yes, you can. And I'd be like, okay, I guess I got it. Because even though I didn't trust myself and I didn't have faith in me, I always had trust in God. And I knew that he would keep me as long as I kept going, as long as I kept waking up, as long as I kept staying in faith and praying and reading my Bible. As long as I did those things, I knew that one day I would wake up and I wouldn't immediately feel like I wouldn't feel that feeling inside. I knew that day was coming. I knew it the whole time. The whole 10 years I endured this, I knew it was coming. I was just waiting for when it was going to happen. and what I didn't know back then and what I had to learn. And this is what helped me. I joined a Facebook group and I was able to see how other people were dealing with it. A lot of people were dealing with it through using psychotropic medication or and various ones. Some people would say it helped them to be able to get their life back, but lots of people said that they had been taking medication and it stopped working, or that the medication that they were on was not helping, and it gave them so many side effects that it became unbearable. Thank you, and I appreciate you stopping in. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for stopping in. And so for me, I just felt like, okay. And then some people would say, well, you could take this med or that med, but all of them are going to have side effects, and all of them, you're just going to have to take them for a few weeks and see. And I'm like, I don't have a few weeks to experience more side effects and to have, you know, all this going on in my mind. I don't have not one day to do that. I don't want to try something and it doesn't work. And then I don't want to try something and then it makes me worse. And then I'm reliant on psychotropic medication for the rest of my life. Now, this is a decision that everybody has to come to. Some people may be able to endure those side effects and hold on for those 2 or 3 weeks while their meds are adjusted, and they may be able to endure trying different medications and going through the running the gamut of trying this and trying that. Some people may want to do that. I did not. I did not. I refused to. And sometimes I would take the medication just to, I would, fulfill the prescription uh, just to, quiet my doctors, because psychiatrists do not see you unless they're prescribing medication. They don't really even want to hear about what you're going through. They want to hear the symptoms, write you a medication, and send you on your way. If you have had that experience, please comment below. Thank you. Yo-Yo's the homie. That's my sis. Um, uh, and right, that's and I'm not gonna lie. There was times, especially like year 9, year 10, when I needed to work, and the doctors weren't trying to help me with getting what I needed as far as an accommodation. And my job wasn't really trying to assist me with that either. And I just felt like maybe I should take something. I got to that point because I was doing really, really bad. And I just said, maybe I should. Maybe I should. And then finally I did see a psychiatrist that told me, how you're feeling right now, it's not good for you to drive. It's not good for you to put yourself in different positions. And I want you to promise me that you're not going to. I'm like, of course not. Like, I'm not going to put myself in that position. But, uh, and because what ended up happening to me, I kind of got jumped ahead, was I was on the side of the freeway. I had left work and I had about an hour to drive home. I was in traffic, and I finally got to experience what a panic attack was. I think I jumped ahead of that. I digress. That's what kind of happens to me nowadays. That's like a remnant of dealing with anxiety. I jump ahead and I get to talking and talking. Please do me a favor, if you're in the chat, please give my live a thumbs up. That'll help me out a lot. Um, what I did was, um, I was leaving work and I had started having bad anxiety at work. And on this day, I just could not catch my breath. I just kept trying to meditate, kept trying to breathe, and try to do what I had been reading about, and it just was not working. It was not working. I was talking to a friend on the phone, and I told them, I was like, um, my heart is racing. I'm like driving, I'm sitting, and my heart is racing like 140 beats per minute. That's a lot. Like, I have to work hard for my heart to race like that. And so what happened was, he was like, get off the freeway. Get off the freeway. And I got off the freeway and I called the paramedics and I called my mom. I thought I was having a heart attack. I'm like, Mom, please keep my children. Tell them I love them. My mom was like, look, you're going to be here for your own children. You're good. And as I started talking to her, my heart rate started going down from 140 to 129 to 120 until by the time the paramedics got there, my hair is all wild because I done took off the bra, I done took off everything, trying to catch my breath and trying to calm myself down. And they just took my heart rate and everything. They took me to the hospital to do a workup on me, and they did the EKG, they did an X-ray of my lungs, the same things I have done a million times, because here I am thinking something is wrong, but this time it felt so real. And actually, if you allow yourself to get that anxious, you can have a heart attack and you can have a stroke. So what I was doing was not only detrimental to my mental health, it was detrimental to my physical health. Now, I had never had high blood pressure before. And now, after constantly trying to go back to work when my mind and body was telling me I could not go back to work, now I have high blood pressure. Now I have breathing issues for real, which are heavily impacted by stress. Stress makes all of that worse. So that's why I say I feel like psychiatrists and therapists are all, just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, because nobody was trying to help me. Like, my psychiatrist was telling me, just keep trying to go to work, just keep trying to go to work. It'll subside, bro. If it would have subsided, I wouldn't be here 10 years later. It's actually worsening, and what you're telling me is not helping me. That day I sat on the side of the road with my heart racing like that, feeling like I was about to leave my children. God told me, Charity, you did it. He said, you did it. You trusted me, and you didn't allow your fear to stop you. You still kept coming to work. But now, you don't have to do this no more. You don't have to do it no more. And that was the last day I went to work for about a year. And when I tried to go back a year later, this time riding with one of my coworkers, what ended up happening was I was still having the symptoms, because I wasn't driving anymore. I'm still having the symptoms. I would have the symptoms all the time, but it just was dangerous for me to have them while being on the highway, and having to keep myself safe. So when I finally decided, okay, God, I get it. I'm not going back anymore. You know what happened? I was able to sleep at night. I was able to lose weight. I gained it all back plus some now. And that's because of my medication I take, steroids, which is another thing for another day. But I was finally able to start sleeping. And the anxiety would, like, where I was up here, way up here for 10 years, now I started to come here a little bit at a time. Praise God. Just a little bit at a time. Now I could meditate. Now I could meditate. Now I could calm my mind down, and it's just so emotional, because, and I'm not going to cry, but I could, because it's just so emotional to think about how now I could pray, and now I could meditate, and now I could breathe all the way in and breathe all the way out and feel calm. It was like I was alive for the first time ever. And I did that without one drop of medication, without, when I was seeing the therapist, they would tell me whatever. And then it would seem like I'm repeating myself. It's like I'm in a vicious cycle. Like I'm constantly repeating the same thing. I'm talking about the same thing, and I'm just bawling, just tears upon tears in every session. It seems like I'm never getting over it. I know what the problem is. And I'll talk about my job, the type of job I was doing in another live, maybe sometime soon, maybe not yet, but it was a job causing distress. I have been there for 20 years, enduring long hours of work, stress after stress, employees not caring employers not caring at all about what you're doing, just wanting you to work and not caring. And now so many other people are enduring exactly what I was enduring. When they would say, oh, this job must not be meant for you. You must be a weak person. And now to see that they are going through that and they're jumping ship is crazy. Okay, let me see what's going on in the chat. You suffer with PTSD, and the Athena Project in the state of Memphis. I'm going to look that up. They didn't give you medication, took you through this program where I had to learn to cope with my PSD. I had to learn my triggers and how to deal with them, and I had to write that down. That's great. And that's what I was looking for, and that's what I would ask my HMO. Look, can you give me a therapist who can do cognitive based therapy? Because I had read that that's the type of therapy I needed. But, the type of situations that they were talking about, oh, I need to put myself back in, they were dangerous situations. It's dangerous to have panic attacks while driving. And then the medication that the doctors were prescribing me could cause me to have more panic attacks, could cause me to feel sleepy and dizzy. And if I need to drive an hour and a half away from home in heavy traffic, or through and drive at a high rate of speed, how's the psychotropic meds going to help me? And if you're not sitting there next to me helping me deal with my triggers and deal with that, how is that helping me? You're just telling me generic things that I could do. And I and God kept telling me, you need to rest, you need to rest. And that was the only thing that I needed to do. So that was the only thing I needed to do. It does sound like a good program, Simply Sunshine, and I wish that was afforded to me. Um, what I did do, like I said, was through getting information from Facebook groups, was find out about this guy. He has a channel called Vacate Fear. He has all these tattoos all over his face, and he looked very different than anything I had ever been used to. And he's not a psychiatrist, but he was talking that talk. And when he would talk, it felt like for the first time I had been understood. And when he would express what I was going through, I could watch his videos. I watch his videos all the time when I was in the heaviest throes of anxiety. And listening to him made me feel so much better than listening to a therapist or a psychiatrist, because he knew what anxiety was and he knew what was going to work. I also, there's this other book. It's called, oh my gosh, I need to start doing my research before and preparing better for these lives. But there was this book that I read, and what I would do is just feel the anxiety. And I would always, in the past, try to turn it off by prayer and just talk myself out of it and psych myself out of it, and that just would never work. What I did was start feeling it when it would happen. I was just like, okay, it's there. And that helped me too, to be able to heal from anxiety by just acceptance. Um, and I think that's what, for the longest time, I couldn't accept that my mind was sick and my mind needed to heal. I kept thinking that, no, I'm stronger than this. My faith is stronger than this. And it had nothing to do with my faith in God, because like I said, I believed in God the whole time. It had nothing to do with me trusting God and praying. I did that the whole time. It had everything to do with me needing to rest my mind and allow my mind to heal. If you know someone who is in a manic state, if you know someone who has been in a psychotic state, the first thing they're going to do is give them medication so that they can sleep and allow their brain to shut off. If you know someone who's ever had any traumatic injuries to their body or to their brain, they're going to put them in a coma so that their body can heal, so that their body will stop doing all the work and their mind could get a chance to heal itself. And that's what I needed. And that's what I did. I started sleeping better. And another thing I used to do was smoke heavily. I smoked cigarettes for so many years. Once I quit smoking, that helped me go from, remember I was here at the beginning and I was starting to go down here, that brought me down here, because anxiety made me have shortness of breath. And now that I'm not smoking, okay, now I can breathe better, right? And then I would drink. I still would drink after I quit smoking, which was crazy to me because most people who drink need to smoke a cigarette, right, or have something. And I wouldn't. I wasn't a heavy drinker, and I like to say I wasn't an alcoholic, but sometimes I feel like maybe I was because I was drinking more than I wanted to. And when I say that, I mean like if we're having a birthday party, if it's the weekend and I'm off work, then maybe I have like a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mike's Hard Lemonade was my what I used to go back to all the time, and although it was very light to me, I still didn't want to drink that much at all. I didn't want to drink at all, so I just quit. About once I finally got uh, cured of cigarette smoking, about a year later, I just said, you know what, I don't want to drink anymore either. Now I just got to get over my sugar addiction and, lose the weight. But it's a journey. But stopping smoking, mental hospital giving me medicine I didn't take. Only medicine I took was Zola, but I didn't like nothing to change my moods. Yeah, whatever you enjoy doing because first aid was, yes, I'm when I was and when I was in the throes, the deepest throes of anxiety, I didn't think I would ever be happy again. Like nothing made me happy. I would be at family events, and the whole time I'm anxious. I would be at my kids' school events and be anxious. I would be at work anxious. Everything I did it with anxiety. It was like my little best friend, like maybe right here on my shoulder. I was just anxious all the time. And now that, like I said, I'm in recovery because at first I said I was healing, but now I feel like I'm in recovery mode. Now that I'm in recovery mode, I can enjoy things now. I'm not at the movies. I'm like, I just want to get out. I just want to escape. I'm not with my kids at a restaurant just feeling like I'm calm. I'm calm, cool, and collected. I'm not up all night scrolling, doom scrolling all night long. I can sleep now. Um, I still have, uh, I'm not as irritable as I used to be, but I still do have, my attention span is still, ooh, I'm starting to get hot. I got that light on. It always happens when I turn that light on. My attention span is kind of like, it's getting better, but I have a poor attention span. It's like crazy how little, like you could be talking to me and I'm and I'm thinking of a thousand things, different things. I can't really work on projects like I used to because, you know, I can't really focus like that. Um, I definitely can go. I can go grocery shopping now. When my asthma isn't flared up, I can go and do things with my kids. I've even driven them to Disneyland recently and to the beach. And although the mental is not there, the still that panic is still there. So I said, okay, I don't really want to be driving like that anymore because even though I feel like I can do it, I'm not all the way there yet. So, but I can drive around town without anxiety. I can do a lot of the things that I had stopped doing. Um, yes, this is what anxiety is. And I talked to a psychiatrist recently, and he said, well, do you have problems sleeping? Do you have nightmares? I'm like, that's not what PTSD is. PTSD, I said, that's the movie stuff that you see when you are looking at a movie, somebody sitting there in a cold sweat. Okay, that's one way, but most of the time, you're just in that high state of arousal all day long. It's not just about you just sitting there sweating and panicking and fear. It's just that feeling of doom all day long that shouldn't be there. It's that nervousness. It's that what's going to happen next. And then when you have those brief moments when you don't feel that way, you feel like, okay, you're waiting for something to happen. Like I shouldn't feel this good. Something bad is about to happen. Like even if you have that moment of clarity where you're enjoying yourself, you're like, wait a minute, I know something is coming. And now I don't have that. Like I said, now I'm in recovery mode, and it's all because I decided I'm not going back to that job. I believe if I had continued to go into that job, it would have been something different for me. I really feel like that because um, I just, my body and my mind couldn't continue on the way that it was going. And like I said, family didn't understand, the doctors didn't understand, nobody understood but God. Family was tired of hearing about it. Um, Family was tired of listening to me talk about it. And people are like that. They don't want to hear your stuff, but they'll talk about their stuff all day long. And so what I learned to do was to stop telling people about my stuff and to stop listening to their stuff. I will not listen to anybody tell me their stuff. Go get you a therapist. That's what a therapist is good for, listening. They get paid good money to sit there and listen to you complain and talk about whatever is going on that other people don't want to listen to. And honestly, honestly, if it's not somebody has passed away, if it's not something emergent, you shouldn't be bogging somebody down with all your drama and all of your mess. Yes, it's heavy and it's a heavy load to carry, but if anxiety is heavy for you to carry, just imagine what it will do to the people that you love and who care about you. That's some heavy stuff to put on somebody else. And I realized that. My ex-husband told me one day, he said, after hearing me talk about it, we were still like, that was my best friend. So he knew everything I was going through. I would talk to him about it all the time, and I would just drain him all the time with my stuff. And he would say, finally, he said, maybe you should see a therapist after years of me doing that. And then I was just like, and I was like, you're right. So once I began to see a therapist, that part of it was crucial for me not bogging my family down with all of that. Yeah, I think too that cigarettes, they have so many different chemicals in it. It can't be good for your mental. It just can't. And while I was going through the outpatient programs, someone said that they quit smoking and that helped them a lot. Another thing that would help me a lot was when I could exercise and when I could go on those long walks or when I would just work on a project from morning to night. I wouldn't have anxiety for 3 or 4 days. Um, and studies have shown that vigorous exercise will have the same effect as psychotropic medication. So definitely, if you want to clean up your diet, I have to clean mine up. I'm day 2, so guys, pray for me because hopefully next year this will be a testimony about how I lost 100 pounds after gaining a lot of weight after living with anxiety. So that's my next, and I'm just like staying in prayer and staying in faith because I trust God. He's helped me to quit cigarettes, and that was hard. I like smoking. He's helped me to give up alcohol, and he's helping me to recover from anxiety. So I know there's nothing that's too hard for him. And that was the most valuable thing that I learned throughout this whole ordeal was that my faith will return to me as righteousness. Like, if anybody, like, for me, and the Bible reminds us, that's how I know that anxiety is a normal human function because the Bible talks about peace. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Jesus had a bout with anxiety before he went on the cross to the point he bled tears of blood. The only way you can bleed tears of blood is if your body is in the highest state of arousal. That can happen. People um, feel like that's not real, but it is real. You can bleed you can cry tears of blood. It can actually happen. And that's what was happening to him because he was just like, God, please take this cup from me. And then he had went to the disciples and said, hey, come please pray with me. And they could not stay awake. And that's going back to what I said about needing a therapist to have someone to talk to. Even though I feel like they can be more harm than good sometimes. If you find somebody who will listen to you, who will not placate you or patronize you, And it's going to take a lot. Probably sometimes if you find someone the first time out, then you did good, but it may take you 4 or 5 different people, therapists, because, you know, although they care, I'm sure it's a job for them and you're just another person. But at least having somebody to talk to would take some of that burden off of your family, and it would give you an opportunity to be open and honest and really bear all that you're going through. For me, when I started working at this government entity, I had I was young and I was fresh out of college. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to take the world by storm. So if I had anything going on as a child, if I had anything prior to that, I had really no bad vibes about anything. I was ready to work. I could drive anywhere. Me and my kids would go everywhere. I was doing everything that I wanted to do at that time. Um, you know, getting married, having fun, just, you know, things that I wanted to do. I had a blog, I had all of that stuff. And anxiety took that away from me. Um, so, just a moment, guys. Let me see. She was judgy. Yeah. And sometimes, like, they'll say things like, if you see somebody is hurting and go through something, why would you tell them, yeah, that person, I don't think they do like you? You know, I had one person tell me that, and I just finally stopped seeing her. And then she came at me a couple of months later and said, well, I didn't just want to know if you still want to see me. And I was like, yeah, but before I knew it, I just stopped seeing her because I just felt like I was in that vicious cycle, you know, and I couldn't get up out of it. So I just felt like, okay, let me stop seeing these therapists for a while. And that was another thing, too. You know, it was good for me to talk about. Yes, I can do it. I'm going to lose this weight. I got to get this weight off of me. I'm too fly to be, not just playing. But I know I'm going to get the weight off of me. I'm not worried about it. Well, I just kind of wanted to be like where I snap my fingers and it comes off, but I know that it's going to take time. So I'm just trying to be patient with myself and love on myself through this journey. Because while I was going through anxiety, I really didn't give myself that opportunity to really show myself grace. I felt like my children needed me, my family needed me. I needed to be the strong person. If I had faith, if I really believed in God, I felt like I really needed to do what I needed to do and get my life back. I didn't realize at the time that my life was changed forever. And I think that's what people need to realize too. The life you were leading got you to anxiety. You probably were enduring too much stress. You probably hadn't dealt with the anxiety. And just imagine if whatever you did or whatever you were going to led you through got you to anxiety, then probably whatever you were going through before was probably something that you didn't need to be going through. If your marriage led you to anxiety, you needed a divorce. If your job led you to have anxiety, you need to leave that job. You can get another job. You can get another husband, hopefully, but you can't get another you. So if all that stuff that you were going through before caused you to get to the point where you're at, where you're panicky or you can't sleep or you can't drive or you can't be around people, then that needs to change. And that's what happened with me. I stopped spending time with people that I used to spend time with. I started listening to gospel music. I mean, gospel music. Ooh. It was like I would have that gospel music on to the point my kids start learning those songs and they know all the songs because I would listen to Fred Hammond, J. Moss, Kirk Franklin. I used to stand Kirk Franklin. Don't you know I love me some Kirk Franklin? Because when I was going through that anxiety and just listening to Imagine Me and It Could Have Been Me, oh my gosh, all those songs, just so many songs. Lord, do it for me. Just all those songs just really, really saved my life. Like I could just, those were the moments where when my anxiety was at the highest of heights, I could just turn on gospel and listen to it, and I would be able to go to sleep. I could go to YouTube and turn on Bible, um, like it's a man and it's a woman, and they would read the Bible and read scriptures to you while you sleep, and they would give little sermons, and against the backdrop of soothing music, and I could listen to that and go to sleep. Finally, I could turn on uh, like heavy rain and turn my mind off and go to sleep within minutes. If I prayed before I went to bed, like I noticed that I don't really pray a lot before I go to sleep. I pray in the morning and I'll pray throughout the day if I feel it, or I'll pray like as I'm stirring through the night. But I know if I pray before I go to bed, I'm gonna go to sleep really well. I'm gonna sleep like a baby. So I don't know why I don't do it all the time. I guess because I'm tired and because I'm probably scrolling on my phone, then I just fall asleep. But a lot of times I just pray over me and my children. And mind you, when anxiety first started, somebody had to be here. I could not sleep. Somebody had to be here with me and my kids. I could not sleep. I was not sleeping. Somebody had to drive me on highways. Somebody had to be with me. And I want to say midway through, I had, because I was in the high side of anxiety, I had allowed someone to move in my home, unplug this light for me, and whew, no, the light, turn the fan back on. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Because I got the fan on. Um, and after that, after I did that mess, I said I'd never again. I had to turn that light off. I was starting to get hot. I said never again. I said, oh, I'm gonna trust you, God, because I ain't let nobody, no more crazy people. And it was a friend I knew for years. It wasn't just anybody. Okay, I was never that foolish. But family, nobody. Like if I didn't want you, now I'm like, no, no, I need my peace. I don't want you coming up in here. If you can't, and I told my sister, my baby sister today, um, she lives in another state and she's coming to visit soon. And I said, well, you come over. I said, I'm just boring. And she was like, I love boring. I'm boring too. I said, because I don't do all that rah-rah stuff. I'm like, you know, for me, excitement is going to a museum, is going to the Barnes and Noble, is going to Starbucks and having a coffee and just whatever. I said, but for me, I just like to chill. I don't want, to, take somebody else off their zone or whatever, but this is me. This is how I live. So, yeah. And that's how it's been for me. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But what type of, what type of tools do you use to combat your anxiety? Like, are you walking, taking walks? If you're not doing those things, you should be. I would say take long walks and also get good sleep. And don't do anything that you don't feel like doing. Um, I don't have a lot of friends now, but throughout the years, I would get invited to things and I just couldn't go. I just couldn't go because I couldn't drive and I just had too much anxiety. And I feel bad about that, how many people I let down, but that's just what it was. I, if, and people don't understand anxiety or mental health, but they will understand somebody who has cancer. And mental health is just as important as somebody who has cancer or somebody who has uh, cirrhosis or anything that they can't control. You can't control anxiety, and I think that's what people fail to realize is that you cannot control anxiety. So I try to show people grace and have more understanding when they don't show up for me. Now, if I see them showing up for somebody else or being there for somebody else, I got a problem with that. It's like you can be there for somebody else and you can do this and do that. Why not be there for me? So that makes me feel like, okay, then it's a personal thing where you don't want to be there for me personally. And that's fine too. I got God and I got me, you know, and I started wanting to do better for me. Before this whole time, it was about my kids. It was about my kids. It was about my job. It was about everything else, trying to prove to other people that I could heal. And then now it just became about me. I started, telling my kids, close my door. My door has always been open. Now it's close my door, or it's okay, I'm going to go out. They're teenagers now. When they were younger, they needed me, but now they're teenagers, and now I can go off on my own and go have my chai tea latte at Starbucks, and they're fine because I make sure that I give them my attention. I make sure that they have what they need. But nowadays, I take a lot more time for me. Before, I didn't get dressed a lot. I would just kind of go to work and get dressed for work and just throw whatever on. But now I take time for myself, and I get manicures and pedicures if I feel like doing it. And I go, I have so many clothes, like my closet is full of clothes, even though I'm this size, and I want to lose weight so I can fit my clothes better, and mostly so I can um, breathe better. I still make sure that I buy clothes that I like, that the way I look in them. And, like I said, just my faith in God has just built up my confidence in who I am as a woman. And that's so valuable to me. And I know everybody is not a believer. I wish everybody was one. And I wish I could just go around and tell everybody on this planet how much my faith helped me to endure what I was going through. If I didn't have, there's a scripture that says, if I didn't stand on my faith, I wouldn't stand at all. And if I didn't have my faith, oh my gosh, could you imagine if I didn't trust in God, where I would be right now today? Oh my gosh. Like, he's been a constant. Reading my Bible, praying was the one thing I did that I know helped me to change things around and helped me to become different and to stop being involved with people who didn't mean me good, or mostly staying at a job that was just not for me. It was never for me. And every year I was there, it got worse and worse. So I just thank God that I finally got to the point where I can make that decision to leave. And, I recommend that for everybody. Um, what did leaving that job mean for me? It meant that I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. It meant that I didn't know if I would end up homeless and hungry. It meant that leaving that job meant that before, and I was looking for another job, but the state that I was in, even leaving that job, I was not ready to go to another job. I did interviews and things of that nature, but I just was not ready to work somewhere else. I needed to rest completely. That means thank you, keep pushing forward. Thank you for joining. Um, I just needed to leave that job completely alone. And so it was scary, and my anxiety got a little worse. And that's what my mom was afraid of. She would say, well, Charity, I just don't know. Like, I feel like if you quit that job, what are you going to do? And this guy I was talking to at the time, he was like, I think you should try to find something else, because what about you and those babies? You got to have a way to um, take care of you and your kids. And then my therapist would say, oh, well, I feel like you should just go find another job first. Yes, I see that you want to leave this job, but I feel like you should find another one. So the pressure of still working there and not finding a job, and that's one thing I had to realize too. When God says something is not for you, that's exactly what he means. It's not for you. And my plan was to retire from that job, but it was not for me. And I kept staying in there and staying in there and trying to fight the good fight. It was not for me. And it was never going to be for me. Just like that man I was married to, rest in peace, Robert. Just like that. That marriage was never for me. That was something I did on my own. God never blessed not one day of that union. And every day that I stayed with him, it became so clear that we would not make it. But I wanted to try. And that job, I probably got married and probably stayed that long because I wanted somebody to be in my mess with me. And even after he was gone, I still was at that job, and I just kept hearing him saying to me, you know, you need to forget that job, or whatever he would say to me at that time, or you just need to go and just worry about making your money and leave. Like, you taking it too much. Like, I don't know how you were letting the job get you that stressed out. But, you know, when I left, like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do. Hey, Deborah Ray, thank you for joining. Shout out to Yo Yo. Um, Thanks for subscribing as well. So I uh I didn't know what I was gonna do, and nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Um, I didn't have family to turn to say, hey, can you pay a bill this month? And I would see people, oh, I'm doing so well on the job, or buying new furniture, buying new cars, and here I was, not no money at all. Maybe I had like a few months of uh, vacation or something, a few weeks of vacation or something like that to sustain me. Maybe I had my 401k is just washed. Okay, I have a little retirement, thank God for that, but my 401k was just washed. I completely depleted that, and I had credit cards. That's how I got through the first year, really, of not working, and then next thing I know, content creation came along because, I'm always online anyway, and I'm writing books, and I'm selling books, but I'm putting way more into getting my books out there because I'm a new author at that time. I started writing a book. That was another thing too. Let me back all the way up. Let me back this truck all the way up. I forgot to mention that I started writing in 2018 because um, my ex boon coon, my husband at the time, we were divorcing. We had separated. It was over with for good this time, and I wanted to deal with that. And then my anxiety was really through the roof at that time. We weren't together, even though I had been working closer to home. It just was like so many years. It was that residual effects, because you can have that too, even though you're not in that situation anymore, even though you leave that husband, even though you leave that job, the residual effects of stress can still affect you. And that's what I was going through. So I started writing my book, and that was another thing that helped me a great deal, writing. Um, so write your thoughts out, journal, write a book, do art, create. That would help you as well. So I did that, and I put a lot of money into marketing and promoting my book, and I did, get some sales, and it was something very enduring to me because I always wanted to write a book, and it really helped me to go through what I was going through. So I did that, and as a result of me writing books and promoting, I came across content creation. So I was able to make some money from content creation. I was able to make 5 figures here, 4 figures there. I just really got into it to the point where I stopped writing books because now I'm making more money as a content creator. The next thing I know, I'm on YouTube, Facebook, just really trying to keep going because I don't have gainful employment anymore. But God is good. He just, my father would help me with money. He would give me money. Um, People would want me to help them with their books, so I would do jobs, helping people with their books. People would want me to help them promote their books, so I'd help them promote their books. I did lots of different things during my downtime, and it helped me to not concentrate on what I was going through. It wasn't like a job to me. It was more like a coping mechanism. I would just write books and read books, and I would talk to other people about their books, and that just helped me not to be down in the dumps and depressed, because now I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? But God is a good God, because the whole time I stayed at that job, the fear was, how am I going to pay my bills without another job? I kept putting, and I think that's what I did the whole time was I put my trust in the job before I put God. And sometimes we can do that. People think an idol is something like a graven image, and sometimes it's just whatever you put first in your life. Some people can idolize their children or their marriages or their jobs, and you don't even know it. Money, fame. You don't even know that you're putting all of your hope and dreams into something until it becomes problematic for you. And that's what I was doing. Like, I always feel like, oh, as long as I can take care of myself, as I don't need anybody, I don't need my husband, I don't need anybody. I can take care of myself and my children. I make enough money. I could even work overtime if I need to. Like, I got this. I'm good. That's the way I always felt as long as I had that job, until it became a point where I couldn't work at that job anymore. Even if I wanted to, like, that's the craziest thing was for me was I have that job even now, y'all. I'm just waiting on my retirement to go through. If I decided right now to go walk back into that job, I would. And I was telling my daughter that I was like, you know what, baby girl, I think my daughter is an adult. She's in her 30s. I said, I think I'm ready to go back to work. I think I could do it. She was like, Mom, 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 Mom. No. She was like, you're doing okay because you don't have to go down there, because you don't have to go to that job. Now you put that back on you, that monkey back on your back, all that stuff is going to come flooding back in. Just let it go. And that was the first time somebody really could keep it real with me and just really make me understand that you're recovering. Going back to that job will be a setback for you. That's just like anything. Like, if you broke your leg, if a football player broke their leg and they're just now getting back, full range of motion, and they're walking and they're able to run or jog, you put them back on the field, that leg is not going to hold up. They're going to be crippled if they try to go back out there and play football on that broken leg. For some people, a football injury they can keep on going, but uh, they'll have to endure pain later on, or arthritis or bad knees later, but they can still play. But for some people, a knee injury or a leg injury is career ending. For me, anxiety was career ending, and rightfully so. I mean, why would I want to go back to those same people who caused me to go through the level of stress that I went through? That's crazy. And that's crazier than having anxiety, right? And I think that's where humans often fall uh, fall flat. They don't understand, and they keep going back to the things that hurt them because they feel like they need that husband, they need that friend, they need that job. You don't need anything but God and yourself. That's all you need. As long as you have faith in God and you believe in yourself, He will. It may not be easy. It wasn't easy not knowing where I was going to get my next dollar from. It wasn't easy not knowing if I would be able to, you know, go through the things I was going through, and not know where my next penny was coming from. But I did it. That was a part of my journey. Sometimes we mortals, we feel like we're not supposed to go through anything. And when we have to go through something, then it's like that's when we break. That's when we turn to drugs. That's when we turn to food. That's when we turn to toxic relationships. That's when we turn to things that are not for us. When God wants us to have faith in Him. And I told somebody else that I'm close to, they were having issues on a job. And I was saying, you'll be okay without that job. And I guess they felt like maybe I was just telling them that because of what I went through. But that is why I was telling them that. Look, I know what it feels like to really want a job, to really want to stay there. What's up, Kiki? Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Jesus came down on earth to serve us. Thank you, baby girl, for joining my live. I appreciate you, baby. Um, I was telling them that because I know what it's like to feel like I didn't just get that job. I had to take a test for that job. I was in an internship before, while I was in college before I started that job. I had to go through uh, a physical exam. I had to go through a psychological exam. I had to go through a 3 or 4 panel interview. I wanted my job. I wanted my job. My job at that time felt prestigious to me. I felt like it gave me more self-esteem. I wanted to work there. I felt like I would retire from there. I would move up the ranks, and after being an entry level position, I would move up the ranks, and I felt like that. That's what I would have done. I didn't leave that job with just, uh, just like all willy-nilly, like, oh, well, God is going to take care of me. I fought the good fight because I felt like, well, if I just stay strong, if I stay in faith, if I trust in God, I'll be able to go to work. But God said, no, you trusting in me is leaving that job. Trusting in me is walking away. And that's a real trust when you say, okay, God, I'm, I see that this is not for me. And that's what I did. I walked away. And that was my healing, when my healing began. And that's where I'm at now. I trust God with anything. Listen, I've been broke and I said, I need a new bedroom set. And I just kept saying, I need a new bedroom set. I'm going to get a new bedroom set. God gave me that money for that. Okay. God, I want to take my kids to Disneyland. God bless me with the money for that. Okay, God, I'm behind on bills. Charity, here you go. I don't know how this keeps happening. And some days I'd be like, ooh, I'm down to my last penny. And then I'd be like, ooh. But I've learned not to worry about money. Money has nothing to do with how well you're going to do on earth. God has everything to do with that. Don't you know that you can be like me where you can, it's right there and you can touch it. Your job is there. You can go back to it, but your mind won't let you. Don't you know that you can get in a car accident and become paralyzed? Anything can happen. Anything can literally happen to us human beings. And the only way that we can get our way out of it is through our faith in God. There's no amount of medicine, no doctor, and the good doctor is going to tell you, look, you're a miracle. It was only God that got you through this, because people come in here every day with your same illness, with your same symptoms, and there's nothing we could do for them. We can only give it to God. And that's how I feel about it, you know. Let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat. Yes, Ann Williams, in Jesus' name, simply sunshine moments. I received that healing from God through my life journey. Yes. Thank you all for coming in and giving my live a thumbs up. Thank you all for commenting and engaging. I really appreciate you guys for coming in. And I hope that I was able to give some information that somebody could use, because that's really important to me. And I'm going to tell you, years ago I said I would give this testimony. I said, God, when you heal me from anxiety, I'm going to tell the world about this. And I was very, I don't want to say shy, that's not the word. I was very, I didn't want to talk about it. Because like I said, people see you as weak when you have anxiety, and people use that against you. And I didn't want to, I felt like it was something I had to keep in. And for me to talk about it so freely now, you know how freeing that is? For me to be able to tell everybody about my anxiety and what I've been through, it's nobody but God. So I'm grateful for God giving me this platform to have people to come in to listen. Yes, apprehensive about it. I can't I get to talking too much and I can't find my words sometimes. They're there, you know, and I used to call myself a wordsmith, but now I get tongue tied and I start talking and I just, you know, the thought is there, but I talk faster than, than I could think sometimes. But yeah, this week I was thinking about what type of lives I wanted to do, because I am a part of Yo-Yo's. Shout out to Yo-Yo. Shout out to Yo-Yo always. She's so much of a champion for other women, and I appreciate her so much, because I wasn't thinking about going live every day. I had told myself I wasn't going to go live at all anymore. And then she was like, join me for my Streamers University. And I'm like, girl. She's like, come on, you're going to do it? So, yeah, I'm excited. And I'm just like, I knew I wanted to talk about my anxiety journey. And now I'm talking about it without any reservations about it. That's crazy to me, because this time last year I talked about it a little bit. I would say a little bit about it on Facebook or whatever, but now I'm just like talking about it all the time and everything that I go through, because I feel like this. We don't go through life and experience the vicissitudes of life just for the sake of doing so. We do so to make us stronger. We do so to, you know, build upon that foundation of faith. And we also do so so that other people who are going through things know that there's a way out and that they can relate to us. Um, you're delivered from it all, and you're delivered from it all. It's just a journey. It's just when you go from start to finish, and then there's everything in between, because we feel like, okay, I'm praying, I'm doing everything I need to do, I'm talking to God, so I shouldn't be going through anything. But no, God allows us to go through things so that when we go through something else, we will remember. We will remember that time when life was difficult for us, and we are able to reflect on that. And that's what's happening to me now. Like when I think about how badly I want to lose weight, and then I reflect back on how badly I wanted to quit smoking. And then I'm like, okay, that was a journey for you. It took you almost 3 years to completely stop smoking. And then you still drank alcohol for another year and a half after that, or about a year after that. Um, and you was able to stop doing that. It took you 10 years to be able to sleep at night, to be able to get back on the freeway on your own, to be able to drive around town, to be able to sit with your kids and talk and laugh without feeling that high state of arousal that you were in. So, what makes you think that you're just going to some people are able to, but most people are not, because people don't just gain weight overnight and then lose it overnight. No, it takes years of bad habits. I've heard some people say they gained 140 pounds in a year. That's a lot of weight in a year. And I've seen some people say they lost 100 pounds in 6 months. That's a lot of weight to lose. I'll be hoping I'll be that person, but probably not, because I like to eat. My sister was telling me today, she said, you got to find out your why. Why are you eating like that? I'm like, I like food. And then I do realize when I get stressed, I eat a little more. When I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling good physically, when I'm feeling good mentally, then I don't really want those Reese Pieces and those chocolate cakes and that Ben and Jerry's and that shrimp boil or that Popeyes fried chicken, because I love the heavy, greasy, heavy, sugary stuff. And I guess that's a form of coping with stress, right? Because those things, and then too, the more you eat of those things, the more you want. But I know I'm going to get to that point. That'll be probably the last battle I have to fight as I'm dealing with this anxiety. I feel like I'll go through that journey of uh, finding out what is causing me to eat a lot, and I'll just start, because mind, body, and soul, that's how we exist in this world, and they all coincide together. Um, without the mind, the rest will malfunction. So when your mind is right, your body will be right, and you'll be in tune and in alignment with what God has for you. So now that my mind is right, and now that I know that I have to just allow my body and my physical and my spirit to all sync and become one, so that I can start saying, okay, you know what? When I wake up in the morning, I want to drink water. I want to pray and meditate. I don't want to rush to go get a chai tea, because I love chai tea, but chai tea causes me to want more sugar. Or I can say, you know what? Um, I can turn that off and say, you know what? You have eaten a lot today. Because sometimes I can turn that off. Sometimes I eat a meal and still want a snack. I need my snacky snack on the way to bed. So, those are just bad habits that I have accumulated over the years of dealing with anxiety. And I didn't take meds, but I did enjoy my food. I do enjoy my food. So, yeah. So some of you have been hanging with me the whole almost hour and a half. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to go 2 hours. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Um, for me, I don't, like I said, I'm not a advocate for meds uh, to deal with anxiety. But if that's the route you choose to take, do your research and know about the side effects and how it can affect you. But also, if you're going to take meds, you have to realize that you got to deal with whatever it is that's causing it. You got to deal with you. And if you take meds to mask that and you never deal with you, I just don't see how you will ever be free of anxiety if you always need that medicine to get you over those humps. If you never trust yourself, you never trust God. And like I said, I know everybody doesn't believe in God. I wish you would, and I feel like you should, but I know that everybody doesn't. Oh, cursing people out. I still got to work on that, Ann. I still got to on that. I don't curse people out like I used to. Ooh, I don't curse people out like I used to. Oh my God, I'm a cursing Christian. And the reason why I hate to curse so much is because I love God. I love God and I want to amplify Him any opportunity that I get. And if I curse, people are going to, the first thing they're going to say, that's why I don't like Christians now. Fake Christian, you're talking about you love God and you're cursing. And plus, God says that you cannot curse and praise Him out of the same mouth. So I'm working on it. I've been working on that for years. But I try to show myself grace with that and I pray for that. But when, like, I feel like this. I'm a wordsmith, and I say that because I'm well read and well written. I know a lot of words, and I'm educated enough to not have to use it, to rely on curse words to make my speech more flowery, or to make my words sound better. I don't need to rely on that. And so I do, though, because sometimes for me, I'm going to be honest, it sounds better when you add a curse word. And then someone told me that when you curse somebody, when you call somebody the B word, you're actually cursing them. So I don't want to curse somebody out because, like I said, it just gives people, it gives Satan an opportunity to close that connection between me and God. It gives him an opportunity to make people feel like God doesn't exist or like you're not really a real Christian. I don't want to do that. And then too, it takes so much out of you. Like if you're cursing somebody out, they have power over you. Like the person who is quiet, cool, calm, and collected, that's the person I aspire to be always. Like, and like I said, you know that you are healing from anxiety when people can say something to you, or you're not irritated easily, or you're not easily offended. You're just like you can see right through that person. That person is probably going through something. Whatever they're talking about has nothing to do with you. And you're probably just being impatient, like just chill. And when I can do that, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I should have said this to them. Or, oh, they said that to me. But I can get over what they said a lot easier. I don't know if you know that. Like if you don't bite when somebody is intentionally causing you, trying to start drama with you, if you don't bite, then it's easier for you to move on from that. But when you curse them out and they curse you out, or when you get mad while you're driving and you're having road rage, or you're at the store and you go off on somebody because they were rude to you, it takes you a longer time to heal from that. You know, Pete Pablo, 1999. My neighbors got their ear to my wall. I don't know what that means, but what's up, Pete Pablo, 1999. Thanks for joining the live. So yeah, other than that, I'm just chilling. I like to go to the beach. I'm going to the beach, but as much as I like to go to the beach, oh my gosh, during that journey this year was the first time I went to the beach and I was just able to be calm. Like I have that in one of those shorts where I'm at the beach and I'm just chilling at the beach and I was just talking to God and I was just watching him, you know, his handiwork, just seeing how the waves rolled in and they stopped and they rolled back out. Like nothing but God could have done that. Like to tell the waves how to move in, and I just talked to him because when I used to think about how some religions they focus on nature, I was like, how could you believe in that? Or how could you feel at one in nature? But I feel God when the wind blows. I feel God, and I feel that peace when the sun is just beaming down. I feel like that's God beaming down right on me. When it's raining, I feel so much peace because I feel like God is washing away my sins. And right, right, you are correct. And yes, she is. I see you, Ann. I see you in the chat. Mhm. And I just felt like I just feel at peace. So all those years that I would go to the beach and just feel like "Ugh," inside, just feel like "Ugh." And then to be able to go to the beach this year and just feel like that calmness because water is so calming, it's so peaceful. Just to hear the rain, just to hear water drip drop in the shower, you get so calm just by being in the presence of water and having it engulf you. So those are the things I'm doing these days. I'm wanting to go to the beach. I feel like I'm gonna spend a lot of the summer at the beach writing. I think I said that on one of my lives. That's what I plan to do this summer. I want to write another book. It's been a few years since I've written a book, so I'm ready to write again. I'm ready to uh, do a lot of things that I haven't been doing. I'm ready to just live and just be me because I feel like 10 years was robbed from me. Um, but I know it's going to take one step at a time. I don't want to rush into it. I want to be happy and patient because no, I'm not driving like I used to. No, I'm not doing everything like I used to. But now I'm calmer. And now I'm trusting God more for everything that I need. Yeah. Yes, rain sounds help you sleep. Yeah, because water, you just think about it like you're in water for 9 months. It's been 13 years for you. But yeah, it's cursing people out, and sugar, sugar. Cursing people out and sugar is probably the two things that I want to stop doing. And and Simply Sunshine, we're just going to keep having faith and showing ourselves grace and being at peace. And then I think too, like if we slow down our speech, slow down, because the Bible says, be James um, says that we are to be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. So we listen more and we just calm ourselves down and don't respond. Because usually when you curse somebody out, it's because you're being prideful. Somebody probably said or did something to you that just PO'd you, and now you just like, ugh. Now I just want to just give them a piece of my mind. That's pride right there. You don't have to give nobody a piece of your mind. God sees them, as my mom said, God sees them, and He does. And trust and believe that if somebody has done something against you or to oppose you, you're gonna see if you take your hands off of it. If you take your hands off of it and just be like, you know what, they'll probably even come back to you and apologize, or they'll experience something and you'll be like, mm-hmm. And then you're gonna feel bad for them because if you love God, you love His children, and you don't want to see people go through things, no matter what they did to you. You just, want to have a forgiving heart. At least I know I do. 13 years of dealing with, oh yes, hold on to your faith. Keep the faith. That's another song that I like by Faith Evans. It goes, uh, if I just hold my peace, let the Lord fight my battles. If I just keep the faith through the night, just keep on holding on to your faith. Like I said, I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust the doctors. I couldn't trust the therapists. My family and friends were falling by the wayside, but I could trust God, and I held on to that. Holding on to my faith is what helped me to get to this point where I can talk about it, and I feel like, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? And if something do happen next, guess what? If something do come, I know that God has my back no matter what I have to endure. And I know that to live this life, you're going to have to endure some things. You're going to have to go through some things. So, and it's going to happen whether you are scared, afraid of it, whether you are worried about it, whether you're upset about it, it's still going to happen. You cannot change it. So why not go through it knowing that you have courage? God has given you a sound mind. He has given you peace. You just have to just sit back and just relax in it sometimes. Stop what you're doing. Whatever it is that you're doing, just stop. Stop. If people don't understand, they just don't understand. I mean, because you still have to have yourself at the end of the day. You still have to wake up and love who you are. And, you know, nobody's going to stop for you. Nobody's going to stop for you. Nobody's going to stop because you're not okay. Like, how many people are going to do that? Hmm? How many people are going to say, you know what, they're anxious. Let me stop what I'm doing and go hold their hand through life. Nobody's going to do that. And then why would you want them to do that? Because now you're being a burden unto someone else. The thing about it is, you know what? Trust in God that you will be okay and give yourself the grace to go through whatever it is you're going through and do whatever you need to do for you. If it's taking off work, some people going to work is helping them. If it's joining the gym and working out and busting your butt in the gym, if it's not eating sugar, if it's taking a psychotropic medication, whatever it is, yoga, you know, whatever it is, I know one thing for sure, and that God wants you to feel good about yourself and He wants you to be okay. God does not want you to be anxious. God did not, that's one thing I had to realize. I'm like, God, why do you let me go through this? And God didn't give me anxiety. God did not give me anxiety. You know, He did not want me to go through that. That's why when I started listening to Him and stopped trying to do things my own way and stopped trying to rely on the world instead of leaning on my own understanding, instead of listening to God and hearing Him, because people meant well. They meant well when they was telling me, oh, you can't quit your job. Oh, you can't quit your job without having another one. They meant well because, one, they probably didn't want to see me homeless, and two, they knew they couldn't help me. And they wasn't about to. Who was going to open up their door to me and my 4 children? Who was going to help me pay my bills? Nobody, because nobody did. Who was going to loan me money or even give me money? Nobody. Nobody bought me a bag of groceries over here. Nobody. So at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and listen to you. I mean, like I said, people did pray with me. Some, you know, sometimes people spent the night. Sometimes people did listen. Sometimes, but that's 10 years. You know how many nights I stayed awake praying to God by myself? Do you know how many nights I drove to work praying that I would make it safe and drove home praying that I would make it safe? I had people there for me, but they could not endure, just like them disciples couldn't endure with Jesus, and they left Him hanging. But that's what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to leave me hanging so God could come on in there, so I could turn to God and say, God, come on now. What's good? And He showed me. And He showed them. I know a lot of people thought that they would see me struggling, but God said the righteous will not, them and their seed will not be begging for bread. And I am a righteous person. I do right by people. I'll help people. When God blesses me, I'll do for others in a heartbeat. I have to stop myself sometimes. Like, hold on. Hold up, swole up. You got to have some money for yourself and them kids. But I don't worry about that because I know that God is going to bless me. And I tell people that all the time. Like, when I needed a car, every time I needed a car, I'm like, I don't have a car. He was like, here you go. Or my car wasn't running right. I'm talking about in my years ago. In my youth. In my young youth. Or even when I couldn't get to work. When I was shaking and, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. I made it. Do you know I made it to work every last time? And I made it home from work every last time. Panicking all the way there, an hour or two and from work. Do you know how tragic that could have been? Think about it. Think about it. I'm panicking on the phone with my mom sometimes, on the phone with my friend, on the phone with whoever. I'm panicking all the way to work and panicking all the way home until that last day when God said, enough. Girl, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? Like, come on. And then finally I just said, I, I concede, I give up. God said, thank you. You know, he had been probably holding on me to waiting on me the whole time. He probably sent himself, when is this girl going to stop? I done told her in so many words, this ain't it for her. I have shown her time and time again. It's like when you with that man and you know he's not any good for you. And you just keep holding on to God, keeps showing you time after time. You keep believing, he keep cheating. You keep on loving and he keep on thugging. That's your man and you're gonna stick beside him. And God keeps saying, well, until you ready to drop that zero, ain't nothing I can do for you. I hear you, and I have the healing for you. I hear you, and life is going to be better for you. But we have to make that decision, right? We have to make that decision that we're going to leave that thing alone or leave that person alone for our own well being. And it's going to hurt us because when we love people, when we have a job and we're doing okay at the job and we're able to have our needs met through the resources that the job allows us, it's hard for us to walk away, especially when we don't have a soft place to land. It's easy to leave your job when you have another job, but I didn't have another job. It's easy to break up a friendship or a relationship when you have other friends or you have somebody waiting in the wings. But it's harder when you love somebody and you don't want to leave and you don't see yourself loving anybody else. It's a hard pill to swallow when God is showing you. I mean, you just don't believe it. No, I know it's going to work out. If I just stay the course, if I just keep going, if I just keep giving it all my God, they're going to see me. They're going to change. And I kept saying to myself, oh no, my job is going to see that I need help, that I need to be closer to home. They're going to see. And they just kept saying no. And I was like, God, I know if you could change their heart, but I know that they're saying no because this is not for me. And it wasn't. So I had to do what I had to do. And that was difficult for me, but once I finally made the decision that I'm going to choose myself, hey, I was able to get over anxiety, you know. And like I said, um, they said once you get generalized anxiety disorder, you never get over it. It never leaves you. It's with you for life. And I think that it may be with you for life, but I think that you handle it a different way. Like I know when I'm not sleeping enough, and I say, okay, you gotta sleep more. I know when I'm having too much sugar, and I say, okay, you gotta stop the sugar. I know when a situation is not good for me, or somebody is not good to be in my life. I know now. I know my limits. I know that I don't need to endure things in life anymore. I know that I can say, you know what, I meant you well, and I had good intentions, but it's time for us, our journey to end. That's my kiddos going in and out. They don't want nothing. Trust me, they don't want nothing. They got everything they need. They have food. Um, they have electricity. They got gas. They got a phone, cell phones. It's not a thing that they need, but they probably just want my attention. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining tomorrow. I'll probably be back on live at 6 again. Um, I have some things going on. My daughter's graduating this week, so I'm not sure what, but I would like to stay on a schedule of 6 p.m. I think that works for me. Um, and I don't know. Let me know. Drop a comment. I'm always active on YouTube. Let me know what you would like to see. I have my email and my profile, so you can email me if you want to. If you don't want to put a comment below, if you want to talk to me about something, or if you want to ask me something about tonight's live. I know sometimes people don't feel like they can be open about everything that they're going through, or they might be fearful that somebody else may see what they went through. But you're welcome, Sunshine Moments. I appreciate you. You stayed the whole entire live. I appreciate you so much. And Williams, I appreciate you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope that something I said just sparked something in one of you and that is helping you to understand anxiety a little bit better, and that you know that you're not crazy, you're not weird, uh, that you just need to heal from whatever it is that you're going through. You guys have a great night, and until next time, I'll be back on here tomorrow. I'm not sure what my topic will be about, but it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted because last night I talked about my experience with breast cancer, and tonight I'm talking about anxiety. So we'll talk about something a little bit more fun, guys. But thank you. Have a good night, and God bless.